Welcome to the Sunday, September 17th live edition of the PFF Forecast, where we will discuss, is Joe Burrow dead? Are the best teams in the NFC? And who's Arjun hiring for the soon-to-be vacant Los Angeles Superchargers job? Plus, we're going to guess all of the Week 3 lines. It's the only time I can win bets is when I bet on Sunday night. Hopefully that's the case for many of you. It's going to be a great show. Let's rock. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you had a slightly more relaxing Sunday than I did. I told these guys just before we came on that I had the New York Football Giants in Survivor in Circa. This is what you call getting too cute, okay? Last week, made a good decision, took Baltimore, had the biggest point spread. This week, thought we could leave the Buffalo Bills for later. Guys, I was on the way. I was starting to take a very long walk towards the coast, the Pacific coast, today at about 2 p.m. when the New York Giants were getting their butts kicked. And like Jesus, rose again from the dead. So we're back. This is the live Sunday night show. If you are new to the show, we do this live every single Sunday night right after Sunday Night Football. We do a little bit of a recap, and then we get on right to the next week. We go through all of the lines. If you would like to participate, you can as well by joining the PFF Forecast Discord, where you can actually guess the lines right along with us, and we'll share your results here on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Arjun, you are noteworthy today because of the Los Angeles Football Chargers. So we're going to start off buy or sell with you. Very interested in what you are buying or selling here. Buy or sell, Arjun, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, with the Chargers, I think the offense has been fine. I know they had chances to go down and score a touchdown at the end of the game. Weren't able to do that, but you look at what they've done through 2 weeks. They rank third in offensive EPA per play. That might be higher after the Dolphins game. I'm not sure where they rank after that, but third in offensive EPA, and they rank dead last in defensive EPA. So, with Brandon Staley, I know there's a lot of people calling for him to be fired. I will point out, I'm pretty sure under the Spanos ownership, they've never fired a coach in season. So I know people might be rushing to bet Staley first coach fired. I don't really see that happening. Remember, Anthony Lynn was like 3-9 and got blown out by Bill Belichick like 49-0, and he still didn't get fired until after the season. So I think if anything, they'll ride it out with him and then assess from there. I think, if that does happen and the Chargers, don't make the playoffs or whatever, he's probably going to get fired along with, maybe some of the coaches. But if the offense is a top 5 offense like they've been the past 2 weeks, I do see Kellen Moore kind of staying on, similar to like Norv Turner staying on after Schottenheimer got fired. There are some intriguing names out there. I know Ben Johnson would be a really fun one, given how efficient the Lions offense has been with Jared Goff and, Josh Reynolds as their wide receiver too. Now you give Ben Johnson just a way better quarterback and Justin Herbert, a pretty good offensive line, some solid weapons, and I think you'd let him cook. But either way, I think if a change is made, they should go with an offensive mind and just keep as much continuity as possible for Herbert.
Yeah. So just first, real quick on the first coach fired market, because I do think people start jumping in on that. Please pay attention to the franchises that don't do it. Because speaking as a Bears fan, let's just be full depressing to start the show here. The Bears have also never fired a head coach during a season ever. So yeah, should they maybe fire their coach? Maybe you could argue that. I'm not even gonna get into that.
Fired a quarterback mid-season, if they fired a quarterback mid-season.
Yeah, that's a whole separate conversation as well. But yeah, like I wouldn't bet Matt Eberflus either, because the Bears have never done it. So, but anyway, to your point, I think the heartbreaker for me was Staley, and for when we get these coaches that actually try to do things differently and follow the numbers and the things that he was doing where, yeah, some of the time he was doing what we said, 4th and 2 on the opponent's 45, go for it. He then did get kind of crazy and start going for like 4th and 8s on his own 20, which I don't think we would advocate for. But the moment for me today was it's 4th and 1 and the Tennessee 44, and they punt. And it was just like, look, if the defense is going to be the worst defense in the NFL, where you're rotating corners like by quarter, I guess, I can't even keep up with the rotation. And then you're not a good game manager. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you really bringing to the table? So, yeah, he'll probably last the season, but unless there's a massive turnaround, I think it's probably his last.
It's tough. There were so many things about Brandon Staley that we liked when he took over, particularly his aggressiveness on 4th down. And I feel like he got so beaten by the media for that, honestly, that I don't want to like attribute all of his shortcomings and all the Chargers shortcomings to that. But I really do feel like that like messed with his mind. He and the Chargers, to me, feel like a team. You guys play poker? You guys poker players at all?
Of course.
Okay. So, like everyone goes on tilt every once in a while. And when you're on tilt, like you just like nothing works, right? You're like, oh my God, like I think I'm going to get myself, back on the right side of things. I'm going to play smart. I'm going to do this, do that. And you just like, you're in your head and you can't get out. And I do kind of feel like that's where Brandon Staley is. I think he's kind of on tilt. They have a ton of talent on offense. I mean, this is, I think you hire a defensive coach and Ryan Tannehill looked like he was on his way out of the league against New Orleans in week 1. Probably should have thrown 6 interceptions. And the dude looked like he's from the fountain of youth against the Chargers. Tua lit you guys up like no one's business. New England Patriots, with like us 3 playing corner tonight because all their corners were injured, actually managed to hold that team to under 25 points and put on, I thought, a pretty impressive defensive performance. So by all accounts, the Chargers defense is historically terrible. And if you're a defensive coach, like that can't be the case. So I'm buying it. I am buying Ben Johnson. As someone in the comments said, Nick C said, if you want to get paid 8 figures to come coach Justin Herbert and live in LA, I think there'll be a lot of people that are up for that. And I would guess Ben Johnson will be one. All right. On to the next one. Let's continue the depressing momentum. Brad, what are you buying or selling?
Yeah, so we talked all of last week about how the Bengals were in a great bounce back spot. I think Arjun and I were the only ones that actually bet them -3 on the look ahead. They are still dead last in success rate in the NFL. They are 31st in explosive pass rate in the NFL against a Ravens secondary that didn't have Marlon Humphrey, didn't have Marcus Williams. I mean, they're anemic. Their offense is atrocious. I mean, any numbers you do say were positive were only once the game was well out of hand. I think Burrow had like 80 passing yards in the 3rd quarter again, and then kind of had some garbage time production. But, I mean, they just – and then he retweaked his calf today too. So, I don't know if he missed his time or what, but, going to Judah's true scrambles and all that, he needs that ability. He's not going to run the ball a ton, but him on the move is part of his game. Avoiding some sacks, he obviously takes plenty as well. Are you buying that in a very competitive AFC North? Yes, the Steelers maybe aren't that good, but Ravens are clearly good. The Browns are clearly looking pretty good. Can the Bengals in the division and in the conference, can they make the playoffs with this 0-2 start?
I'm gonna buy that. I think this team has some real challenges ahead of it. And number one being that Joe Burrow, I just don't think he looks healthy. And last year it was a really bad 0-2 start. Like I would argue just as bad as this one. I mean, I think the first week's performance was on par with the first week's performance this year. He threw like 4 interceptions against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you look at how poorly he started each game, and he has, I think, 2 of the 10 lowest grades for the first half of any game, which obviously still reviewing and going over the grades from week 2, but that's not very compelling. He made one of the just worst throws that I've seen him make in a very, very long time in the red zone in today's game. And the AFC is just too good. I think that the Ravens are better than them. I think the Browns are better than them in their own division. We know the Chiefs are going to be there at the end of this. And I think there are, despite the fact that Zach Wilson is now playing quarterback for the Jets, I think you've got a better than previously thought Patriots team. You have the Bills, You have the Dolphins. And so I do think it's going to be very hard for them to make it, especially going down 0-2 in the division. So yeah, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs after starting 0-2, as crazy as that sounds. Arjun?
I don't know. I think I do lean that they don't make it, mainly because Burrow also re-injured himself in the game, tweaked his calf. His mobility's already been pretty bad or not up to his standard, and now he gets re-injured, and I think that hurts them even more. I think the bigger issue for me also today is just like their defense was atrocious. The Ravens had a 58% success rate, averaged of a 0.22 EPA per play, 0.28 EPA per pass. The Ravens also averaged about 3.3 yards before contact. Now, it's a Lamar offense. It's going to be much easier to run the ball. But, I've always been a big Lou Anarumo guy, and this was just not a great performance by him or that unit. Didn't really seem like there was any resistance to that Ravens offense. And yeah, really, in the past, Burrow's been able to get by with bad games because of his defense. But if the defense isn't playing up to par, then they're in even more trouble. But yeah, it really starts with Burrow. And I thought, he had 35 passing yards at half against a defense down Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Williams. Turned it around a little bit. I thought he was playing better up until that interception, which kind of just derailed them. So I don't know. They're fully healthy on offense except for Burrow. Like I don't really know, what the fix is. They ran every single play out of shotgun today. So, you talk about, not
did they really?
practice.
Yes.
Yeah. So you talk about not having practice time in training camp, not being able to install new plays for Burrow, not getting more comfortable under center. And that shows up early in the season. And can they figure it out? Yes. But it's also tougher when you re-injure the same calf you hurt. And, I think having to playing injured in season is just never good, especially for, I think, Joe Burrow, who kind of needs that mobility given his pocket presence.
So does that mean that his calf must not have been right before the game started?
You're saying that they didn't want to drop back? I think it's just the Bengals. They were over 80% last year. I think that's just they don't have any diversity. There was a comment, I agree, Mizzou 19. Like, I know, George, you're asking about just the shotgun thing. They also literally just run 11 personnel every snap. Like, they don't have – I think there is, and you learn, like, do you need a great tight end or a great fullback or, like, really good players? No, but, like, a guy that is enough of a threat where he's, like, an NFL caliber player that at least requires defenses to respect him enough that, okay, they're in 12 now. We have to adjust, or maybe we're going to move out of nickel into base. Or, like, there's none of that. So the defense just knows exactly what they need to trot out there every single snap because the Bengals are in 11 in shotgun every single time.
Yeah. Oh, man. I didn't even realize that. But I will say this has been a criticism of Zach Taylor. I thought that last year they actually improved in this regard, where in prior seasons their offense had just lacked so much creativity, right? It was like, oh, it's first down. Let's run Joe Mixon straight into the line again. Okay, great. Fun. Now we're going to do this like really vanilla thing with Joe Burrow and throw a contested target to Chase or Higgins. Cool. And like that sometimes works and often just isn't going to get all the way there. But you also look at this team and they are very top heavy, right? They have three really, 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 really good players. And then a lot, I think as Tyler Boyd is good, but there's not a lot of depth there. The offensive line is pretty terrible. So far, they're bottom 7-8 in pass blocking, PFF pass blocking grade. So, that's been a consistent issue for them. And obviously, I think Burrow has always been a plus scrambler, and I believe he's shown up well in Judah's metrics there, looking at true scrambling, especially throwing off of that. And if he doesn't have that with a really poor offensive line, that is just a recipe for disaster, right? Just to summarize that kind of research, basically what it's saying is play under pressure is super unstable. We know that. But a passer's ability to scramble is actually much more stable. And this is something that, you see the top guys, a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, really do well when they're scrambling, either throwing or running. And obviously, if you have a hurt calf, you can't do that. Okay, I am putting this for sale. This is something I did not think I would say. The two best teams in the NFL right now, I think both reside in the NFC. and they're the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, right now, I'm saying this right now. I'm not projecting forward. I'm not saying who they will be at the end of the season. But right now, I think those are the two best teams. And the way I would put it is I think those two teams would be favored against any other team in the NFL on a neutral field. I think the only question there is the Chiefs. I think that's more of a legacy thing. I think that's a Mahomes thing. And I think you could make it a pick 'em there. But I think the two best teams in the NFL are the Niners and the Cowboys. What do you guys think about that? Buying or selling it?
Go ahead, Arjun.
Yeah, I would sell it because I think the Chiefs should still be either one or two. But I do think the top three is some order of Chiefs, Cowboys, Niners. I mean, it's really impressive that Chiefs go into Jacksonville and hold the Jags to 9 points. Jags basically had like a bottom 10th percentile performance if you look at EPA per play. Getting Chris Jones back is huge. And I think, that was a pretty, defining performance. Even against the Lions without Chris Jones, they battled pretty much the entire game until that pick six by Brian Branch, I think, kind of turned the game on its heels. I think the Chiefs are pretty well-rounded. And, yeah, like they still need to figure out the receiver situation, but Kelsey's back. And Pat and Andy, they always figure it out at the end of the day. So I just think because of legacy, because I believe in their defense a lot, and they showed that improvement last year and have continued that this year, in my opinion, I think they should be above either Dallas or 49ers. But it's tough to pick which one.
I'm putting you on the spot. Order those three.
Okay. I'd go 49ers, Chiefs, Cowboys.
So I think for me, with the Niners and Cowboys, why I like them so much, and I'm sure there are Eagles fans that are sitting here incredulous that we're not including them in this 2-0 conversation, but there's just so much more fragility, in my opinion, with Kansas City and Philadelphia. Like Dallas and San Fran. First of all, San Fran's pass rush today didn't even do a whole lot, so they can play better, as well. But like Dallas also, they have 8 players that are better edge rushers than some teams have one. And like San Francisco is kind of in a similar boat, are going to continue to add players. Those teams where it's, for me, when I'm thinking over the course of an entire season, the rosters on paper I like the most because I also think they can overcome the inevitability of an NFL schedule. I would. The only reason why Mahomes again is the problem is because, him versus Brock Purdy is probably 5 spread points still. Like I know we love our guy Brock, but you're bordering on a touchdown difference between those two players alone, as much as I love the Niners roster otherwise. But yeah, I do think that those three I agree with Arjun, and I guess I'll rank them as well. I would put Chiefs ahead just because the quarterback, it's kind of crazy, but and then for me, it's probably Dallas and the Niners. I'm so high in Dallas. We have not seen them play. We're not going to see them play a real NFL team next week either. They have Arizona. So they're getting a second preseason through their first 3 games. But after that, things will get interesting.
That's why I would put the Niners ahead of them. Just like they played a real NFL team today, albeit at home. It was the classic. Every year you look forward to this in LA. The father take your son to work day. Take your child to work day, where Shanahan puts McVay in the back seat. They pack a nice little PB&J lunch, and they go to the office. And it went as expected. But I will say this: the Rams are a real football team. I'm very interested when we start picking the lines here. I think you could. I agree with you guys in terms of putting the Chiefs in there. Was it holding Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars down, or was it Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars like hunting for the end line of the end zone every time they needed to score a touchdown? Like I think it was a little bit of both there, and it didn't seem like Kelsey was all the way back. I think what you guys are saying is that by the end of the season the Chiefs will be there. I think right now they're not there, and I think both of those teams. Brock Purdy is not your average kind of dink and dunk, guy. He's got a lot more to him. Okay, that was buy or sell. We're going to start with week 3. We're on to week 3. Before we get to week 3, though, AG1. We just talked about some shitty teams, and people don't like to mention this. Okay, you hear a lot of reads. If anyone here listens to like the Huberman Lab podcast, you hear like 65 AG1 reads per episode. And the thing that never gets mentioned there is like this thing keeps you regular. Like everyone wants to make sure you take a good, what, in the morning or at night or whenever you do it. And you want to be on a good schedule. And sometimes you need a good supplement that helps you stay on track. Take a good poop. That's what I'm talking about. And AG1 makes sure that you can do that. In addition to giving you the supplementary vitamins and minerals that you need to keep your body and your gut in good shape, especially if you're traveling. I use it, especially when I'm traveling, because it's very hard to get good food and actually make sure that you are eating healthily when you are traveling. Travel packs with AG1 are super useful. They send them in a little container so you don't have to go pour it into a bag for yourself when you are about to travel. And it makes life on the road a lot better. So you can try it yourself. Go to drinkag1.com/PFF and get yourself a full year's supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs that I just mentioned with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/PFF. That's drinkag1.com/PFF. And I'm not the guy that's going to tell you they taste great. Okay. A lot of things in life that are good for you don't taste great. So get over it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very quality. It's great stuff. If it tasted good, it'd probably be BS. So get your shit together and go drinkag1.com/PFF. Okay. We are on to week 3. By the way, I've been trying to work on my AG1 read. Brad, can I get a grade on my?
Was that an intentional get your shit together at the end? Because if it was intentional, that was the greatest bow tie I've ever seen. But I don't know if it was. Let's be honest.
It was intentional. It wasn't intentional.
All right, that was a good grade. That's a high 80, low 90 grade. Then.
All right, we're on to Thursday Night Football, where my Niners are playing the San Francisco Football Giants. Okay, so let's set this up here because we forgot to do this last time. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. But we do this every single week, and we place bets right after the podcast so that we can get the best of the number here. And let me go ahead and share what we did last week for transparency here. We all have a play still left on Cleveland and Pittsburgh. But here was where we were at last week. We all had the Dolphins. That was a tenuous one there at the end. Green Bay, man, that was I feel like we deserved that one. Didn't quite come through. Kansas City opened at 2.5 last week. So if you got Kansas City at 2.5, you didn't need the extra point. But you can help feed your family with a little closing line value. The Cincinnati Bengals, they stunk it up. So that's where we're at on week 2. So here's where everyone was week 1. Week 2, pretty solid thus far. Hopefully the Brownies can take care of business tomorrow. So now we're on to week 3. New York travels to San Francisco. I assume they will stay on the West Coast. They played in Arizona, barely got through and came back from whatever it was 20 down to win that game. We'll start with you, Brad. What did you make this number?
Real quick, I don't know if you're sharing the screen if that was your intention. I have the Niners. Oh yeah. I have the Niners minus 9.5 here.
Okay, you went 9.5. I went Niners 10.5.
Okay.
I had the Niners. I think I split you guys. I had the Niners by 10. Thank you for letting me know that I wasn't sharing the screen. What I was trying to share with people was this is where last week ended up for us. Trying to keep the transparency high here. And so far, decent job on week 2. We still have a couple of plays left, but here we are so far this season. So it's just more proof that betting early is the right time to bet. Okay. Let's see. Where is this one? Pull this up here. I am seeing 10.5. Circa's at 10. FanDuel and DraftKings are at 10. So we'll call it 10. You guys are splitting 10. Any desire on either side? Start with you, Arjun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be betting our Niners. Saquon, I'm assuming he's going to be out for this game. Sound like he had a pretty nasty ankle sprain. So that really leaves the Giants with one playmaker, which is Darren Waller. And for the past 2 years, I don't think any defense has been better at stopping tight ends than the San Francisco 49ers. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, best linebacking duo in the NFL. Hufanga, one of the best safeties in the NFL. Tyler Higbee, who had 50 yards in his first game, ended up with 12 against this Niners defense. I think the one place you want to attack the Niners is corner. We saw Puka Nacua, just insane 15 catch game for like 150 yards. The Giants' number one receivers is like Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins. Like, that doesn't scare me at all. I think we could see something very similar to what Dallas did to New York. And this time, New York has to fly cross country. So I think this has real blowout potential. James Conner also, sorry to just keep this going, but James Conner ran for 106 yards. And I was watching that Niners game, and I don't think I've seen McCaffrey look as explosive as until going back until his Panther days. So I think Niners run all over them. I think Niners defense shuts them down, especially without Saquon. I think this is just going to be a blowout for San Francisco.
So I wanted to get there. Obviously, I'm on the other side of the number. I wanted to talk myself into it. I think in these short weeks, even early in the season, it's a super simplified, condensed, approach and playbook. The issue for me is I may have highlighted Spencer Burford last week. On first review, 49ers right guard Spencer Burford has a 0.0 pass block grade. And I struggle with Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams on that interior, potentially blowing some stuff up. I just think as bad as the Giants look today, yes, they scored on every single second half drive. Credit to them and Daboll for the halftime adjustments. But I just can't lay 10 on a Thursday game.
The reason I stayed at 10, and I thought a lot about kind of giving the hook to the Niners here. So I actually kind of started at 10.5, worked my way back to 10. And the reason for that was that it wasn't really until the end of the game that I felt the Niners defensive line started to win. I think Andrew Thomas, you tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like Andrew Thomas is going to come back and play in this game. And it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like they were as intimidating of a defensive side. I do think offensively they'll have some success, but Daniel Jones, Darren Waller, I think they can be successful. And actually, I think not having Saquon, I know people are going to hate hearing this, but I think it kind of helps. I feel like they feed the ball to Saquon on these like stupid designed runs when they shouldn't. And they don't really help all of that that much. So I'm gonna stay off here. Indy and
just real quick, they're not flying across the country. We got a comment. They're not flying in New York. They're staying in Arizona before the game, if that matters at all. But nevertheless,
where they're staying, we don't know.
No,
we'll try and find. Indy and Baltimore. Before we guess this one, so Anthony Richardson looked great. He exited the game with concussion. Is there any news on him?
No news yet. In the protocol, it didn't look that bad. It was on his touchdown run. He kind of hit the back of his head. I'm not going to speculate on concussions, but I will say too, I think Richardson's awesome. Gardner Minshew looked pretty good. It's good to have a good backup. Anyway, no news yet. We'll figure that out. I had the Ravens -7 here.
I went Ravens -8.
I have the Ravens by 7.5. I was going to make this actually under a touchdown, but I think the uncertainty about Richardson led me over to touchdown. And the printing press, which is a composite of all of the guesses from members of the Discord, is at -7.1. Let's see here. So, interesting. It looks like FanDuel's at 8.5. DraftKings is at 8. Circa's at 8. Pinnacle is at 8.5. Actually, juiced a little bit. Let's call it 8. That looks like where the even money is at. So we will go 8. Brad, you're the furthest off here. Arjun, you hit it on the number. Brad, are you inclined?
Now, the quarterback uncertainty scares me. I honestly would have taken the Colts if we knew Richardson was playing and it was over a touchdown. I probably would have laid Indy. I think they're pretty good. I like their trench units a lot, and I think they're going to be like sneaky decent this year. But no,
I'm 100% with you. I was actually looking forward to taking the Colts here, and then I remembered Richardson went out. So yeah, it's a bummer. We'll see what happens with Richardson. So let's talk a little bit about Lamar because we didn't in the open. I was very unsure of the Ravens heading into the Bengals game. Lamar I thought was outstanding in this game. I mean, just really all of the uncertainty I felt he had in week 1 seemed to go away in week 2. I think he's likely to finish as one of the higher graded passers of the week. Are you guys, is that more about Cincinnati being terrible, or do you think that Lamar has kind of figured it out?
No, I think so. They're 5th in explosive pass rate, 10th in explosive rush rate, 7th in success rate. I think that offense with Todd Monken is legit. Zay Flowers is awesome. But yeah, Lamar looks very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did all of that without Ronnie Stanley and Linderbaum. So imagine if he has his 2 best offensive linemen on the field, So, yeah, I mean, I hit this on the nose, but this is like an easy teaser leg for me. I'll just tease the Ravens down to -2, crossing 7, crossing 3. I think that's pretty standard for me here.
Yeah, I do like that actually. I'll join you on the teaser. I think there will be some other teasable legs here. That's a good note. They didn't have Linderbaum or Stanley in this game, but it looked like having Matt Andrews back, I think, helped a lot. And OBJ got a little banged up. I don't think that matters a ton with Zay Flowers, but noteworthy there. Tennessee and Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland plays Monday night. Tennessee traveling to Cleveland, Brad.
Yep, I had Cleveland -6.
I went Cleveland -4.
Ooh, interesting. I am in between the two of you. I thought this was a pretty classic 4.5. The press is even more bullish on the Titans than any of us at 3.6. And let's see here. This is 4.5 on DraftKings, 4 on FanDuel, 4.5 on Circa. So we'll call it 4.5. Brad, taking the Brownies.
Yeah, I am. I might feel dumb here. I think we'll get a fully healthy Amari Cooper. I don't think it's a multi-week injury. I love the trench matchup for the Cleveland Browns. There is maybe some fear of, are they going to run the ball a million times at the Titans front and it's going to be unsuccessful? There is certainly that fear to a degree, but no, I'll take them. I think it's too short.
Yeah. I think I'll lay off this game, but I will mention, the Titans' run defense is legit. Last 2 games, Chargers 24% rushing success rate. The week before, Saints 19% rushing success rate. That might not matter because the Browns have one of the best offensive lines in the league, but Chargers came off an amazing rushing performance and had just a terrible one. So I think the Titans' rushing D is legit, which is why I was more bullish on the Titans in this matchup.
These two teams are like the Spider-Man meme pointing at one another. I just think the Titans are a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But this is I think it'll be one of those games where ultimately the quarterback that makes, a couple of boneheaded mistakes, and I think you'd lean Tannehill more likely to do that. But Watson has played really poorly. So I don't think that's a given. Here, I'm going to lay off. This one I'm very interested in where you guys made this because I really struggled with this one. Denver going to Miami to play the Dolphins, Brad.
Full touchdown. Miami -7.
I couldn't get to 7. I went 6.5 for the Dolphins.
I couldn't get even to 6. I made this 5.5, and I feel like I'm going to be short here. The press was at 6 flat. And let's see where this is at. Hail Mary for the Broncos couldn't quite get there on the 2-point conversion. It looks like it is 7, 6.5. I see a 7 at DraftKings. I don't really see any others up there. It's just 6.5. I guess we'll call it 7. I'll start here. So I think the Dolphins looked really, really good against the Chargers because the Chargers are a historically bad passing defense. The Broncos were not super impressive today, obviously giving up 30 plus to Sam Howell, but I don't think this is the worst matchup in the world. I think a full touchdown is too much for an offense that isn't totally dead in Denver. Mims played well. They got Judy back. I think Javonte Williams looks pretty decent. They have Patrick Surtain, so to what extent that can help mitigate some of the Tyreek Hill issue. And Jalen Waddle did get banged up, so who knows if he's able to go or not. I hate this. It stinks, but I will take the Denver Broncos.
Good for you.
Sergeant.
I thought you were going to try to weasel your way out of it. I'm proud of you.
No. You saw that. I tried. I really, really tried hard because
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it.
But
Is it Wong if to go from 7 to 1,
yes,
or does it have to be 7?
You got to cross.
Okay, so it has to be 7.5. Okay.
Maybe someone.
Yeah, so
but I believe you to get that. Because 7 obviously you can push. So to get all of the probability that you need, I think you need to cross it.
Okay. Yeah. So then I'll lay off this game. But I will say, like, I am very nervous for the Broncos. They have this cornerback, Damari Mathis, who has been just an abomination to that defense. Last week, he allowed, I think, 98 something yards. This week, he allowed 120 to the Commanders. Surtain will shut down most likely whoever he's going up against, but you can't put Damari Math. They have to make a change, and if they don't, Waddle or Tyreek or whoever's lined up against him is going to cook. I will say I think the Broncos passing game was really based on explosives. Like, Russ only completed 18 passes. A lot of them came in garbage time, 308 yards. Obviously, one of them was the Hail Mary. He had 2 deep balls to Marvin Mims. Vic Fangio's defense is literally built on stopping explosive plays. The Patriots literally did not get anything going tonight deep. I think max longest completion was probably like under 20 yards or something. So I don't see this being a good fit for or a good game for the Broncos offense. And then on defense, Vance Joseph, very aggressive defense, couldn't even stop the Commanders. And if they go into that game against Miami with that man heavy scheme that VJ likes to run, I don't really see them having a lot of success. So, but yeah, I think 7's a lot of points. So I'm going to lay off on this one.
Yeah, Vic Fangio revenge game against his former team. I just think Mike McGlinchey, your old pal George, had on first review allowed 9 pressures today. Had a back-to-back pass block grades in the 20s. If we get a healthy Jalen Phillips, or if we just get a spunky Andrew Van Ginkel or whoever, I think he's gonna have that offensive line in a blender. I won't go full touchdown. The Waddle thing is real. But I'm not surprised it's a full tutty.
I hate this bet. I absolutely hate it. I hate the Broncos. The Heat in Miami, they're not going to respond well to the Heat. It's starting out 0-1. I just absolutely hate it. I'm going to find a way to delete that bet by the time subtly while we're going through here. All right, New England and the Jets. This one in not Meadowlands, in MetLife. Arjun, your Jets. Brad, what did you make the spread?
I gave the Jets a full field goal.
Same.
We're making that 3. I gave them a full field goal as well. Let's see. The consensus from the group was 1.5 points or thereabouts. And what is this? This looks to be 2.5. In most spots. FanDuel 2.5, juiced a little bit towards the +3. DraftKings is even money, 2.5. So we'll call it 2.5. Arjun, why don't you start?
Sure. So obviously tough game for my Jets today. The Jets have done well against the Patriots. They did well last year. A lot of why they lost was Zach Wilson. Unfortunately, that might be the case again this year. Over-unders like 38.5. And as much as it pains me to do this, I will be teasing the Jets to 8.5. 38.5. It's a low total. It's a standard Wong. This is like I know the Miami one wasn't a standard Wong. This is the standard Wong. Low total. Take the dog, home dog, right? Isn't the trend, the hashtag trends? You take the home divisional dog, right?
That's what they say, but I think there's also a trend of Zach Wilson versus Bill Belichick. It's a separate. Yeah, I want to tease it with you, I really do, but I would take. Speaking of 2.5, I would probably take the over 2.5 Zach Wilson interceptions if I could find that listed anywhere. I'd probably hit that.
I am taking the Patriots. Brad, I don't know about you.
No, I respect it. No, I'm not there yet because I honestly think this is going to be like I almost would rather wong it because I think this game is going to have 20 total points. But I'm just staying away entirely. I'll just watch the masterclass, unfold in real time.
Yeah, it's a good point. The Jets defense, I thought it was actually a rather amazing performance that they put together because they were on the field the entire game against Dallas. Yep. It was honestly incredible. And they didn't really break until the end. The Jets, it would have looked way, way worse if it weren't for that long Garrett Wilson touchdown. And that was against the Cowboys defense, which is really good. But I think Bill Belichick and what he brings, it's just, there's just no shot. But I love the teaser as well. So I'll probably end up doing both. All right, Buffalo and Washington. This one is in Washington.
I went commies plus 6.5. Couldn't go a full touchdown.
I went commies plus 6.
Oh, man, I'm short here again. I went 5.5. I'm gonna regret this. The press was at 6.3. I hate everything about this week already. Let's see, what is it? Where is this game? Here it is.
DraftKings is 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. I see a 7, although heavily juiced on circa. Yeah, 6.5 is where it is at. So Brad, you hit this one right on the nose. Man, the Bills obviously looked way, way, way better today. They got helped out by some Jimmy Genius, if you will. The Raiders were down Jacoby Myers, and they just weren't. They're just not on the same level as the Bills. But I think Washington has much stronger defense. They have both their wide receivers. Their good wide receivers are healthy. I think that will be a problem. The Bills couldn't stop Devontae Adams without illegally hitting him. I thought Powell looked decent today. So I'm thinking about it. Arjun, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna bet it. But I am Howell pilled. I was Howell pilled after the preseason. This definitely confirmed that he was throwing some absolute seeds out there. That touchdown to McLaurin was just an absolute dart. But I don't know. The Bills' offense looked, back to form today, putting up 38 points, ran the ball extremely well. And the Bills, they love to generate explosive plays. That was something the Commanders really struggled with today. So I don't love either side just because I think Howell played well. Bills pass rush was dormant today. 5 pressures against the Raiders. Am I missing something with this Raiders offensive line? They allowed.
I think we have to slowly acknowledge it might be good. It's been the last month of last year and the first 2 weeks they have not allowed pressure.
So it's crazy, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm laying off this game, but Bills pass rush is worrying.
Yeah, I'm staying away as well. On first review again, we had Montez Sweat with 14 pressures, leads the NFL, and Chase Young with 9, second in the NFL. And obviously they have the interior guys as well. So that does scare me a little. The Bills, though, after doing nothing against New York, are now first in the NFL in success rate because of that. They must have converted every single drive or every single series against the Raiders. But yeah, I'm staying away.
Yeah, if it weren't for I think Howell is very, very close to being there. The problem with Sam Howell, I forget who said this in our Slack today, but that his internal clock is an hourglass. He took 6 sacks today. Other than that, he was really, really, really good. So I'm going to stay away here. I'm not going to let myself do this.
Real quick. So that was Steve. That was Steve who said Sam Howell's internal clock is an hourglass, and the first comment below was, if Howell's is an hourglass, then Justin Fields is a sundial, and I laughed out loud. So anyway,
Oh man, I can't wait till the Bears are playing the Chiefs. This is going to be great. Caleb Williams coming your way. All right, Atlanta, Detroit. The 2-0 Atlanta Falcons travel to Detroit to play the Detroit Lions. Brad,
Detroit -6.
Whoa. I went Detroit -4.5.
I went Detroit -5, and I thought that was going to be a lot. 3.7 was the consensus from the members of the press. Let's see where this one is at. I see 4.5. Yeah, it looks like 4.5 across the board. So interesting. Brad, you are the furthest away.
Yep, that's an easy bet for me. Lions are 5th in success rate. The Falcons are 18th. The Falcons are not good. I'm just going to keep fading them until it works. Actually, funnily enough, doesn't matter for our purposes. I happened to bet Green when I finally got around to actually placing a Green Bay bet. I bet +1.5. So pat on my back there. But anyway, Atlanta stinks. They're bad. They're a bad football team. I love Lions -4.5 here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take the over in this game. Actually,
Love it.
Seeing 46.5. Lions defense was pretty bad today. Falcons defense is also not that good. Jordan Love averaged a 0.41 EPA per play. Kind of didn't really show up at the end of the game, but Lions can't stop the run. They allowed a 0.1 EPA per rush today to Kenneth Walker, and a Seattle offensive line down 2 starters, 2 starting tackles. Bijan was, maybe the most electric player in any game today. I think the Lions are going to have a tough time kind of stopping the run. But on the flip side, I don't think there's anything the Falcons can do to really slow down this Lions juggernaut of an offense with Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond as wide receivers 2 and 3. So I like the over here. I think it's going to be a fun game back and forth, and hoping we see a lot more Bijan because he was very, very good today.
I love the overcall. The Atlanta Falcons winning that game with Desmond Ridder. I mean, Desmond Ridder has been like a bottom 5 graded quarterback, I think, every single week, and they haven't lost with Desmond Ridder as a starting quarterback. So I'm staying away from this one, but I do like the over 46.5. I love the Seattle Detroit over. We should have made that one of our write-ups. But our Seahawks, they came through for us. Thank God. Brad and I, of course, had this, we had to stay with them. We had to roll with them, and they came through.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We are on to Green Bay, New Orleans and Green Bay. So Green Bay seemingly had that Atlanta game in hand, managed to lose the game. Brad?
Yep, I went Green Bay -2.5.
I think I'm going to be off market on this one, but I went pick 'em.
Ooh,
Okay.
I went Green Bay by 2. Obviously, New Orleans hasn't played yet. Looks like the printing press fairly close to where you were at, Arjun. They were at -0.5. Arjun, you taking the Saints here? Oh, wait, I have to say what the actual number is. 2.5. Let's see. It is 2 at DraftKings. It's even money, so we'll go with 2. Arjun, taking the Saints?
I don't want to take them now. Can there be a conditional bet that it's a yes if the Saints cover tomorrow and it's a no if they don't? Or do you think the line will move if they cover?
It's on you whether you're going to bet them or not. So yeah,
I will. Like if they cover tomorrow, I will be betting. I'll basically just roll my winnings over onto probably like Saints money line or +2 if it stays at +2. So it's a conditional. I'll put yes, but I think can we agree it goes away if Saints don't cover tomorrow because that
it's on there. Yeah, do a Y asterisk. I think is the way to do it.
Okay, appreciate that.
Total here is interesting at 43. Kind of has me intrigued on a Saints teaser up to 8. as a potential leg. So I'm just going to back pocket that as a leg if I like something else.
That's kind of what I was thinking. The New Orleans passing attack was good in week 1. I think they'll be good next week. So yeah, a teaser does kind of feel right to me. So teasing it with Baltimore, for example, I do think makes sense. I'll put a teaser like down and see if we can find some other ones as we go through. All right, about halfway through the slate, we have Houston and Jacksonville coming up. Before we do, though, DraftKings back again with $200 in instant bonus bets when you bet $5 with promo code PFF as a new customer on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. It's that easy. We were talking about a bunch of games that you can bet, and you can do them on DraftKings right now. They have these lines up. So you can go make that happen if you are new to the DraftKings Sportsbook. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet $5 on any NFL team. You don't even have to wait for the bet to cash. Football is just simply more fun when you're in on the action. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with promo code PFF. Here we go. The best part of every podcast, the disclaimer. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Rumor has it that is what Brian Dable texted at halftime. In Arizona, HOPE-NY 467-369. And you saw what happened to the New York Giants. So recommended. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777. 7, also the number of people that live in Connecticut. ccpg.org, also there for you. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensee partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's a new one in honor of our Saints. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football. Terms for eligibility, terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Houston travels to Jacksonville. Brad.
Jags minus 9.5.
Jags minus 8.5.
I went Jags by 9.5 as well. I was tempted to go a little shorter, but then I remember Houston lost by double digits to the Colts. And the press is at -7. All right, where's the market at? Let's see here. There it is. 10-9. DraftKings is at 9. FanDuel's at 9.5, circa 9.5. Pinnacle at 10. All right, we'll call it 9.5. Brad, you and I are both on 9.5. I'll just say this: I am not betting this one. Arjun, are you taking the Texans?
Nope, I will not be.
I'm laying off as well. The Jaguars' offensive line, and we knew it was going to be a problem, but it's a problem. That's why they couldn't score at all today. So it's just too many points given that.
Yeah, it was tough for them. I don't know. There were a lot of issues with the Jaguars today.
Yeah, Lawrence was 0 for 7 in goal to go throwing, which I saw. I wish I remembered who tweeted it, but it's like the most incompletions without a completion in goal to go situations since like 2005 or something like that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Not great.
But I mean, there were some plays to Calvin Ridley that he almost made, which, if he makes those, it's probably a little bit of a closer game. But it almost felt like their offense now with Calvin Ridley is less unpredictable. Like, I feel like he's zoning in on Calvin Ridley. He wants to go to Calvin Ridley, and he should because he's amazing. But I don't know. It definitely feels like it's lacking some creativity. And it wasn't great in week 1. I think it really showed up here in week 2 when they actually played a good opponent. Chargers and Vikings. I don't even know what the line is here, but whatever the total is, over.
Yeah.
No one's stopping anyone in this game. Brad, would you make this?
So I had this. I'm looking at the total. More importantly, I had Minnesota +1 at home.
I had this as a pick'em.
Wow. Man, I feel like an idiot. Well, I made Minnesota a 3-point favorite.
Oh, wow.
Let's see here. The press had it as -0.3. Where is this at? So this is at 1 pick. Circa has a pick. FanDuel has the Vikings +1.5. DraftKings +1. Call it +1. I am I'm gonna take the Vikings. I'm gonna take the Vikings. Here's the deal. The Vikings have had awful turnover luck. Horrible turnover luck. They probably should have lost that game to the Eagles by at most a point or two. Timo's noise canceled score. That's where he had it. And I mean, the Chargers can't cover anybody. So I just think this is going to be a Kirk Cousins is going to light it up. It's in Minnesota, obviously. But I just think this is a really good matchup for the Vikings. And I'll take the Vikings at home.
The over, by the way, is 50, or the over-under is 51.5. I still like the over. I think we get Darisaw back. He tried to play against Philadelphia on Thursday. I would bet if that was a Sunday game, we saw Darisaw play. Neither defense. We're going to get Flores blitzing at the highest rate. He's like 15% above the next team. And Herbert's pretty good against the blitz. Plus, the healthy OL with them right now. I'm taking the over 51.5.
I will be joining you, George, on taking the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson might go for like 250 yards in this game. The Chargers' pass defense right now is an absolute atrocity. They're letting guys like Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Akine beat them deep. Ryan Tannehill is going to end up with probably the highest PFF passing grade of any team this week. I think you get the Vikings getting 10 days rest. You get Darisaw back to go up and block Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, who hasn't really done anything. To Brad's point, I think Herbert in general versus the blitz is good. I think you look at how he's performed against Belichick-style defenses. It's, I think, probably only a 3-game sample. One against Flores in 2020, one against Belichick in 2020, one against Belichick in 2021, and he has not been good. He's really kind of struggled against those type of roaming around type defenses. I think Minnesota at home wins this. Jefferson goes off, and I'm not too sure about how Herbert's going to play. And this could be a bounce back spot for the run game, given that the Eagles just gashed Minnesota on the ground. But I just right now can't have any faith in the Chargers to pull this one off, and especially given how bad their defense is. I think Minnesota has a day through the air.
Definitely a good insight with his performance against those defenses. But did those defenses have a single talented player on them, or more than one? Maybe did they?
Minnesota does not. That is true. That is true.
But no, I like the thinking there.
All right, here we go. We are on to Seattle, Carolina, and Seattle. This one in Seattle, the Panthers obviously do not play until Monday night. Brad, would you make this?
I had Seattle -6.
I went Seattle -4.5.
I have Seattle at 4.5 as well, although I'm jealous of you, Brad, making it a little higher because I feel like tomorrow we might think Carolina is like the worst, if not close to the worst team in the NFL. It is, let's see, 4.5 on DraftKings. Wow. 4.5 on FanDuel. 4.5 on Circa. We'll call it 4.5. I'm actually surprised by that. Brad, are you taking our Seahawks?
I sure am. Yeah. Carolina, it's only 1 week, but they're the only team in the NFL without a explosive pass play. I think DJ Chark probably returns, if not for Monday, for this game. But, Brian Burns is good. I don't think there's much of a pass rush outside of him. Derek Brown's a good player. But I think Seattle is going to find a way to put up some points, and I just don't see how Carolina stays with them.
I'm gonna lay off this game personally.
Yeah, I am too. Although, Brad, I think that's a bet you're going to be happy with. Come next week. All right, Dallas
Now we're getting fun
goes
here.
to Arizona. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Finally got some big spreads. Very interested where you guys went. Okay, Brad, you're up first.
I had Arizona plus 13.
I went Arizona plus 12.
I went 13.5. I don't think that the Cowboys are going to show up quite like the Giants did, was my thought. Let's see. It is 13 at Pinnacle, 12 at Circa, 12.5 at FanDuel and DraftKings. Let's call it 12.5. Man, Dobbs played well today. As crazy as that sounds, he did play well today. Oh, yes. Thank you. I think I got to take the Cowboys. I got to take the Cowboys, though. Josh Dobbs against Micah Parsons. Now, Micah Parsons got a little dinged up. He came back in the game, though. Yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a big number on the road. It's a big number on the road. I'm gonna lay off.
Yeah, the Giants pass rush, this pass rush is just two different things entirely. I'm also laying off, but because it is a crazy amount of points on the road, and I'm about to lay a bigger number, I think, on the next one.
Arjun, are you tempted to take Arizona?
I am not. Thanks for asking that.
I'd ask. I thought maybe there's a chance. All right, Chicago and Kansas City. So, who's worse, Chicago or Arizona?
It's genuinely a decent question. I mean, I think Gannon, I know the second half obviously fell apart, but I think we're seeing some good things from Gannon early on. And I just don't know if we can say the same. I mean, I put out a tweet earlier, but the Bears against this is a perfect segue. The Bears against third down passes this year, they've allowed 20 of 23 completions for, like, I don't have it in front of me, but for 12.6 yards per attempt and 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is going to have zero pressure, and his offensive line hasn't even played that well, and that'll segue in. I have the Chiefs minus 16.5 in this game. And I think I'm gonna be short.
I went Chiefs minus 13.
I had 13.5. I'm very curious. I wanted to look this up because I can't. Has Justin Fields thrown like a good intermediate throw?
They have zero completions between 10 and 19 yards, George. Zero. Zero.
That's absolutely amazing. I have the Kansas City Chiefs by 13.5 in this game. Let's see. It is 12.5 on DraftKings and FanDuel. So let's see here.
So I'll just dive in. The one concern I do have here, even though I am betting the Chiefs, I already put the Y next to it. I am betting the Chiefs here. The one concern I do have is last year when the Bears decided to actually cater their offense to the strengths of their quarterback, which they've decided to, I guess, not do that this year. It was against the Patriots, who at that time were still playing a lot of man coverage. And so they were using Fields' legs a ton, and they obviously went in New England, won that game pretty convincingly. Obviously, Spagnuolo does a lot of the same, is probably going to line up in a lot of man. Maybe we get, some solid performances. I also think, maybe if it's late, they'll let Ryan Poles cover just as a gesture to their former friend, the Bears general manager. But anyway, I mean, if Kansas City wins 50-0, I wouldn't be surprised at all. The Bears are probably the worst team in the NFL. So.
Yeah, I guess I haven't been impressed with the Bears either. Obviously, their defense on late downs has been horrific. But yeah, I think there is a chance, like Fields. I don't know. Fields is always good for covering these type of large spreads. I think he just with his legs. Like I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing here, but I think I'm just gonna lay off this one.
Yeah, I do kind of like the Chiefs. Or sorry, the Bears to score some points here at some point, and a game where they're getting blown out. And then, what's the total in this game? Someone have the number?
Yeah, we have a comment from Andrew Cooper. Sneaky like the over. I agree. It's 49. I do like it as well because I do think if it's backdoor or not, the Bears will score a couple times. I think they will.
Yeah, the Jags couldn't. I'll say that.
Well, yeah.
That is for sure. Sorry, you said the number is 49.5?
No, just 49 flat on DraftKings.
I do like the over there because I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance the Chiefs do that by themselves.
Agreed.
This game.
Strong agree.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, the Bears have to be sitting there with the way that Fields has played, and I'm not sure there's a quarterback that's played worse this side of Zach Wilson to start the season. And I mean, their competition for the number 1 overall pick right now is what? They've got Arizona, who's actually 0-2. Is there anyone else? I mean, I feel like Carolina maybe, but they just picked first last year. You figure Bryce Young kind of maybe gets it together at some point. Tampa Bay was supposed to be bad. They're 2-0. Atlanta's 2-0.
The Rams are not a top pick team. They're clearly better than that.
Exactly.
It's a small list for sure.
Like, it's not a big list. And at some point you got to look yourself in the mirror and go, shoot, like we haven't completed a pass in the intermediate part of the field. Like, what are we doing here? And Fields is not their guy. So Brad, I don't know what the ways that they orchestrate that are. Do they trade him? I'm not sure. Yeah. Someone said the Vikings. Yeah. I mean, the Vikings you'd figure are going to win a game here or there. The Bears and the Cardinals don't seem like they are capable of winning that many games.
It's crazy. I mean, Sean Payton's probably too good, but Denver's probably the next team if I had to pick a name. They're bad.
Yeah, Denver is really bad. There's a lot of mid in the NFL right now.
Yeah. Houston's probably on the short list too.
Houston,
pick though.
But Houston's
so Arizona.
Pick, right? It's Arizona.
Yeah, so Arizona's sitting pretty.
Yeah, it really is Arizona and Chicago. Okay, Sunday Night Football is in Vegas. It is Pittsburgh and Las Vegas. Pittsburgh obviously plays Monday night against the Browns. Brad?
I had to pick them.
I also had to pick them.
I went Vegas by 1.5. Let's see. The press is at 0.2. And the market, where are they at? Let's see, 1.5. Oh, wow. DraftKings has this. FanDuel is at 1.5, but on the other side, Steelers by 1.5. And so is Circus. That's what will make it. Yeah. I think I'm teasing this one.
Yeah.
I'm teasing out to 7.5. So here's the thing. The Raiders weren't good today, but the firepower of the Bills is just, was just too great. I don't know that the Steelers really have that firepower. I think Max Crosby has success in this game, and the Raiders O-line has been solid. Do we think we get Jacoby Myers back in this game?
I was going to ask you, what was Devontae Adams' injury? I actually missed. I saw he went out, but I didn't see what happened. Concussion. That's a little scary. Jacoby also concussion, obviously a pretty bad one. I don't know. That's the only reason that I have pause here, because I do agree with you, George. Otherwise, but the Raiders are third in explosive pass rate through 2 weeks. But if they're missing both of their receivers, Hunter Renfrow doesn't play. Like, Hunter Renfrow is not on the roster as far as Josh McDaniels is concerned. So that's a little scary.
I thought that Adams looked not a doctor, but didn't look as bad as it could have been. And I watched the hit a few different times. It didn't look as bad as I thought. Initially, I was like, oh my God, like that's terrible. I'm trying to see if there's any news on him here. Yeah, that does give me a lot of positive. If they're without both of those guys, that is really rough. Sheesh. I'll keep it as a teaser though. Up to 7.5. I might wait though. I think what I will do is I will wait to bet this as a teaser leg until I have some more news on those receivers. All right, Philly. I guess. Sorry, I was hogging all the airspace there. Do you guys have any interest in betting either side of this game?
I would bet Raiders late in the week if I get positive news on the receivers. But right now I don't feel comfortable betting.
All right, we are on to Monday night. Another not doubleheader, but another double dip, if you will. Philly, Tampa, in Tampa. Brad.
Buccaneers plus a touchdown.
I went Bucks +6.
Ooh. I went. So I was with you there, Arjun. I'll just say really quickly, I made this a full touchdown, and the reason I did was because Tampa actually has to play a real D line this week, and I think we've seen Baker play against defenses that drop the first letter of that word, and Philly at least has a front that is going to cause some problems, and so I think this could be where we start to see the Baker that I think many expected. So that's why I gave it a full 7. The press was at 5.5. Interesting. A lot of love for Baker there. And the market looks like is at 6.5. Brad, you were with me at 7. Are you thinking about this? Because I am.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles here. Like you said, the defensive line, the Buccaneers haven't played a defense, period, yet so far this season. And that's about to change. I think we'll get Bradbury back coming off the concussion. I think the Buccaneers defense, too, had a couple injuries today throughout the course of the game. I mean, the Bears also, very well could have covered the field goal in this game if Fields didn't throw 2 interceptions at the end of the game. So I'll stop piling on the Bears. But, yeah, I'm betting the Eagles.
I would love to bet the Bucks, but I just Todd Bowles just I can't. It's like I get so nervous every time I watch the Bucks because in-game decisions and just I don't know, there's just things that I think the way he coaches the games, it always comes down to the wire. And I feel like he has been kind of fourth down sharp this year, but at times he'll also not kind of do that. And I think just because of that difference in game management between Sirianni and Bowles, I don't want to bet the Bucks, but I do think there's a lot of angles that favor the Bucks in this game, especially given that Philly's defense hasn't really looked that good. And I think Mike Evans is pretty good today.
Yeah, Mike Evans is great today. I'm joining you on this, Brad. I just think this is a very simple Baker Mayfield gets put in hell by this defensive line, and I don't think any of the other matchups matter. To your point, yes, I think Mike Evans has a great matchup in this game. He needs to be able to run downfield for that to come to fruition. And I don't know, this to me is where the Bucks being 2-0 is an absolute joke. They're not a 2-0 team.
Here's my thinking too, because we're early enough in the season. So first of all, yeah, Mike Evans was great, not taking away from that. The Bears also were without both starting safeties, and they were playing their third slot corner. But they don't generate pressure as a principle of their defense. But
good principle.
You got to get me off the Bears trade. I got to pivot. If this was preseason before, the Eagles and Bucks had played, what would you put that at? And in my mind, I was like, I'm probably laying 9.5 for Philly. So I was just like, okay, I get a full field goal through 7 on that. I'll just take it. Was kind of my thought process.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think, look, the week 1 game that Tampa Bay won was pretty fluky. Obviously benefiting from Minnesota's turnovers. And then you get the Justin Fields experience. They squeaked by Justin Fields. Let's not give them too much credit. So Yeah, I feel good about that one. Okay. I think this is the most interesting one of the entire week, so I'm glad it is the last one. This is the Rams and Bengals, a rematch of the Super Bowl from a couple of years ago. This one being played in Cincinnati. Brad, would you make this?
I had Bengals minus 5.5.
Bengals minus 6.
Oh my God. I thought we'd be different, but like I didn't know this different. Did we watch the teams play this week? I have the Bengals by 3. And I
knew that
even
was
considered making it 2.5. I was like, should this be a full field goal? Oh my God, it's 6? 6.5?
On DraftKings,
Holy
6.5. Yeah. Also, last
Wow.
thing, the Buccaneers are 25th in success rate, and they're 2-0. So anyway,
Incredible. Good job by them. Wow. Minus 6.5. On principle, I absolutely have to bet this. But I feel good about betting it. And I thought the Rams were moving the ball well against the 49ers today. I know it was at home, but it's technically on the road. That entire stadium is full of 49ers fans. Stafford looks really, really, really solid. It wasn't until the end of the game when the defensive line really started to get at him and the crowd really came into it that he sort of fell apart a little bit. Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, like they have an extra day of rest. They're going to need it because they're going to get a ton of work. And like, is Joe Burrow fully healthy? 6.5?
that's the thing.
Serious?
Is like the odds you get value, I guess, not through a key number, but like the odds is closes at 4.5 is pretty high. Because he's not gonna. It's the same cap as the preseason. Yeah, it's a big number.
That is insane to me. Wow. Okay. All right. Am I crazy, guys? I don't know.
Well, I think that the key you made there too. Yeah, I get it's at home, but the Rams don't play home games. Like the Bengals defense is good, but the Niners defense is maybe the best in the NFL, and Stafford still looked very good. So like, it's not like the Rams have like 2 fluky games or like they're decent, and clearly the market is not adjusting to either of these teams' starts in any way, shape, or form. Like this is unlike the last point I just made about Bucks Eagles. This is probably the spread I would have guessed before the season, maybe full 7. Like it's pretty much the same number, ignoring everything we've seen through 2 weeks.
I think the one thing that would give pause is the Rams corners, Jacoby Durant and who's their other corner?
They have Akella Witherspoon plays.
Darian Kendrick.
A bunch of guys.
Yeah, Kendrick.
Yeah, so it's Kendrick, Witherspoon, and Jacoby Durant. Like that is a all-time down bad cornerback room. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they haven't got it going, but I've seen the story before where Jamar Chase and T. Higgins just absolutely destroy opposing cornerbacks. I don't think the Rams have the pass rush that the Ravens do. I don't think Raheem Morris is up there with Mike McDonald as a play caller in terms of simulated pressures, blitzes, things of that nature. But with that being said, I think Stafford, before the dropped interception, was the best quarterback in the NFL in that 1.5 weeks. And yeah, I think this is not adjusting for the Burrow injury yet, and I do think it'll come down. So I will be joining on Rams plus 6.5.
I mean, the Ravens were without corners today. Didn't seem to matter. The interior of the Bengals offensive line is not particularly great. Aaron Donald still plays football. And Sean McVay, like Cooper Kupp's a good receiver, no doubt about it. But Puka Nacua, like you could put me in there and like I would catch a few balls in that part of the offense. It's incredible. Sean McVay is just absolutely killing it. I mean, Mike McDaniel is doing some incredible things in Miami. Some of the stuff he's doing with motion today was just on a different level. I guess that's what you get when you wake up at 3 a.m, but 2 a.m. But what Sean McVay is doing with that group is absolutely incredible. and it's like the exact opposite in Cincinnati. Yeah. Okay. Brad, have we convinced you?
No, I'm not joining you. I'll let you guys take that one. I respect it. Like there is the fear that it's just like the Bengals figure it out, but you guys will like that you placed that one. You know, that's a good bet.
All righty, we made it through. We will confer, write up our favorite bets. We went 2-1 so far. We have one more with the Monday night under, which we got at 42.5, and I believe it's going to close at like 38.5. So hopefully we don't get totally burned there. And you can find that on pff.com and the PFF app in the morning when you wake up. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love you all. Have a wonderful night and a great start to the week. We, of course, will be back on Wednesday evening with True to Fort Gang. We'll see you then. Love you all. Peace.